Houthis threaten to move the war to Saudi Arabia if a ceasefire agreement collapses. Houthi blockade on Taz deprives thousands from reaching public parks in Eid. United Nations announces that a Dutch salvage team has been set to pump oil off safer tanker. Welcome to YEMEN Today TV. This is the English News with me, Shazad Bilbai. The Houthi militia warned the coalition countries against any escape of the understandings, stressing that this will result in a loss for the countries of aggression and will put them in endless difficulties. This report has more details.
The terrorist Houthi militia has warned that it will strike countries participating in a Saudi-led military coalition if Riyadh backtracks on a recent de-escalation agreement with the militia. Mohammed al-Latifi, the defense minister of the Houthi self-styled government, which the international community does not recognize, made the warning to Saudi Arabia and its allies during a visit to Hudaida Governorate, according to Houthi news agency. Latifi said the situation at this stage is heading towards calm and reaching a comprehensive peace. However, he warned that the Houthis will move the fighting to the territories of Saudi Arabia and its allies if they do not respect the new agreement. He added that the recent agreements depend on the sincerity of intentions of the leaders of the coalition, stressing that commitment to these understandings is in the interest of the region and its people. Earlier this week, Saudi Arabia released 104 detainees in a one-sided move that follows simultaneous detainee exchanges between Yemen's warring parties. The swap came days after Saudi and Omani delegations arrived in Sana'a to negotiate a permanent ceasefire deal with Houthi officials and to end Riyadh's military intervention there. The development followed Saudi Arabia's historic China broker deal with Iran last month.
Human sources condemned the Houthi mass scare in Taiz that took place 2 days ago. In addition, 3 people were killed and 9 injured, including women and children, in a Houthi bombing on residential neighborhoods. Sources indicated that the bombing targeted a house in the village, noting that the injured were subjected to many injuries, some of which were serious. The city of Taiz lacks parks and amusement sites due to the Houthi militia's blocking of roads. This hampered the provision of services for the city's private parks in Eid. This report has more details.
With the closing of public government-owned parks in Taiz due to the stifling Houthi-imposed siege, many children are estranged from the joys of Eid in the country. As jovial melodies grace his ears, Adil, a child looking to delight in the festivities of this holiday, hopes that one day peace and security would return to Yemen.
On Eid, children celebrate by adorning themselves with new outfits and playing with their friends and families. We wish that the war would cease and we long for peace and security.
Eid is a holiday of joy and celebration. Taiz is home to only 2 accessible amusement parks. The siege has made it difficult to visit the other parks.
Muslims across the world are shopping for new outfits, footwear and gifts in preparation of the festival that follows the end of Ramadan's month-long fast. To celebrate the event, they also frequently visit nearby amusement parks. However, the oppressive siege that has gripped the city has diminished the thrill of the festivities in Taiz.
Today we gather to celebrate the holidays and to rebuke sorrow. I wish everyone a blessed Eid. We are trying to provide our children with a happy Eid despite the current circumstances.
The city of Taiz lacks accessible parks due to the Houthi militia's blocking of roads in Al-Hawban, hindering access to vital amusement sites during the Eid holidays. Despite the siege and war, residents cling to whatever remnants of joy they can scrounge up through unity and family. People head out to meet their relatives and friends with presents and blessings, as amusement parks witness traffic by eager and excited children.
The people in Yemen deserve to live in dignity and safety. They are facing a protection crisis in which Yemenis, refugees and asylum seekers all suffer. 74% of the displaced are women and children. We are ready to deliver more, but we need resources to provide protection, assistance, and solutions. But above all, people in Yemen need a lasting peace to end the suffering and enable a real chance to recover and rebuild their lives.
The commander of the Coast Guard in the Red Sea sector confirmed that securing international navigation in the Red Sea comes as a priority for the national battle against the Houthi militia. This came in his visit to the units of the National Resistance Navy on the occasion of Eid al-Fitr. He praised the high morale of the heroes of the 1st Marine Brigade. Massam project managed to clear 45 million square meters from Houthi-planted mines throughout Yemen. It said in a new report on its clearings activities that it has cleared about 400,000 mines and unexploded ordnance since the organization started work. Massam manager added that the field teams cleared since the launch of the project until April 21 more than 300,000 mines, unexploded ordnance, and explosive devices. A number of people traveling to and from the capital Sana'a complained about the Houthi new measures at checkpoints. Sources confirmed that the Houthi militia has set new conditions and restrictions against travelers as it requires them to register their names at the transport office in addition to recording the duration and any type of visit. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs confirmed they finished the necessary arrangements to transfer a number of Yemenis from Sudan. It indicated that more than 1,000 citizens had been counted, noting that a number of students and families had already arrived in Port Sudan. The statement indicated that there were no injuries among the Yemeni community, except one case. The United Nations is closer than ever to preventing the catastrophic spill from Safer tanker. Donors, private companies, and members of the public have so far contributed $99 million towards the two-phase UN plan to prevent the spill. $129 million is now required to safely transfer the oil to a large carrier in phase 1 of the operation. This report has more details.
A Dutch salvage company has reached agreement with the United Nations to pump oil from a rusting tanker off the coast of war-ravaged Yemen, in a move hailed as a critical milestone in order to avert a possible environmental disaster. The salvage subsidiary has reached agreement with the UN Development Programme to transfer more than 1 million barrels of oil from the decaying Safer tanker. A specialist support ship is setting sail on Friday to the East African nation of Djibouti in order to prepare for the mission. The announcement came just over a month after the UN said it had signed an agreement to buy a very large vessel that can hold oil pumped off the Safer. The Japanese-made Safer was built in 1970 and sold to the Yemeni government in 1980 to store up to 3 million barrels of oil pumped from fields in Ma'rib, a province in eastern Yemen. With the impoverished Arab Peninsula country engulfed for years in civil war, no annual maintenance has been carried out on the ship, which is 360 meters long with 34 storage tanks since 2015. In 2020, internal documents obtained by the Associated Press showed that seawater has entered Safer's engine compartment, causing damage to pipes and increasing the risk of sinking. Rust has covered parts of the tanker and the inert gas that prevents the tanks from gathering inflammable gases. UNDP administrator called the agreement another critical milestone of the Stop Red Sea Spill operation to transfer oil from the FSO Safer. He stated, "We look forward to be working with Bukhalis and other leading experts to prevent a humanitarian, environmental, and economic disaster, while appealing to governments and businesses to help raise the remaining $29 million needed to fund the operation." Dutch Minister for Foreign Trade and Development Cooperation said in a statement, "An enormous oil disaster is looming which could have serious humanitarian, environmental, and economic implications. But we now have a chance to prevent the disaster." The Dutch government worked with the UNDP to raise funds for the mission.
Coming next in the news. Eid al-Fitr Evening Festival kicks off at Al Khoukha district in Hodeidah under the slogan, Our Eid is Khoukha. Welcome back. In Ma'rib, citizens take the streets as an outlet to spend the Eid in the absence of public parks. This report has more details.
Despite the overcrowding of the population in the city of Ma'rib, whose number exceeded more than 3 million people, according to official statistics, the city still complains of the lack of projects such as gardens and parks because it's still outside the interests of the local authority. Thousands of citizens who are forced to go out to entertain themselves and their children in light of the lack of parks, and for years, all families spend the blessed days of Eid al-Fitr with their children on the sidewalks of the streets and on tours.
Nowadays, Ma'rib became the city of entertainment for many people. We still need in the future other parks and gardens for children and youth to be opened to avoid overcrowding and provide people with entertainment.
The city of Ma'rib lacks gardens and parks, which are supposed to be at the top of the concerns of the local authority, given the overcrowded population the city is witnessing, the majority of whom are displaced people who fled the oppression of the Houthi militia and who need places designated for picnics. The city has only a small garden and it's filled with the least number of families and contains toys, which prompted many families to search for alternative places such as streets and natural outlets such as farms, the Ma'rib Dam, and open spaces.
The streets now became the only outlet for the citizens in Ma'rib, especially that you can find only 1 or 2 parks here. The continuous overcrowding has also forced people to go for picnics in the streets.
Citizens in Ma'rib Governorate hope that the local authority will pay attention to the suffering of them and their families and work to solve the problem that they suffer from every year during the season of holidays and events, and that it will establish places for entertainment and work on implementing projects with the density of the population who are in dire need of such projects that may provide families the safe and suitable environment to relieve themselves from the worries and consequences of what was left of the war.
A festival kicked off in Khoukha to celebrate the feast holiday. In addition, the festival was attended by a large presence of the people, witnessed many cultural performances as well as competitions in which a number of attendees participated. The festival lasts for 3 days and aims to ease the suffering of the citizens and the displaced.
We are so pleased with the Khoukha festival. It brings joy and happiness among the people in the district, and they forgot the suffering of the war. The people and the displaced families in the districts watch theoretical performances and competitions. This festival is being held for the first time, and it will last for 3 days.
Women, children, and men all need such festivals due to the war and the humanitarian conditions we live in. There should be festivities like these that will bring joy and happiness of the feast to the people.
We need a lot of these activities that gather people together. We ask the local authorities to organize a lot of these activities to enable us forget about the war and its consequences.
8 displaced people from one family were injured as a result of a gas cylinder explosion in Marib, eastern Yemen. Sources stated that the fire caused by the explosion of a gas cylinder was so strong that the firefighters were unable to put it out. An official in the gas agency owners syndicate in Taz warned against the continued sale of gas on the black market. He urged the residents of Taz to demand their fair share of domestic gas, emphasizing that silence on this crime will cost them heavily. For months, Taz has been suffering from a suffocating crisis in domestic gas due to the manipulation of its share. A recent UN study revealed that Yemen ranked second among 159 countries in terms of inequality in development and ranked 125 out of 131 in terms of economic flexibility. According to the study, short-term shocks in Yemen turned into prolonged crises due to the Yemeni economy's lack of flexibility, which led to chronic poverty, displacement, and loss of livelihoods in light of the lack of rational economic policies. Here's a reminder of the main headlines. Houthis threaten to move the war to Saudi Arabia if a ceasefire agreement collapses. Houthi blockade on Taz deprives thousands from reaching public parks in Ain. UN announces that a Dutch salvage team has been set to pump oil off safer tanker. This is the end of the news. Thank you for watching.